Hey, Washington Commanders fans. I have some bombshell news that will leave you hair-raising, and you need to hear every word because I'm going to reveal 7 player names who, for various reasons, shouldn't remain with the team or will see their roles drastically change for the upcoming season. We're talking about a major cleanup that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn will have to undertake to try to rebuild this franchise from scratch. Brace yourself for some surprises and maybe even some frustrations, but the truth must be told. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell because you can't miss any updates on this revolution that's coming, and give that like if you agree that radical changes are absolutely necessary. It has been one disaster after another for the Washington Commanders this season, and that is undeniable. Fans and analysts expected this promising team to have another strong playoff run after reaching the NFC Finals the previous year. However, a humiliating streak of 8 consecutive losses has completely dashed those dreams, leaving us with a bitter taste in our mouths. This disastrous campaign also raises far more questions than answers about the team's current direction. The Commanders have the oldest roster in the NFL, which is a serious problem. They also have the highest number of players with expiring contracts among all the clubs in the league. They have plenty of cap space, which is good news, but only 6 draft picks, of which only 2 are in the top 4 rounds, limiting options somewhat. Adam Peters has a lot of work ahead, and it may take considerable time to fit all the right pieces and build a truly competitive team. Last season was a real fairy tale, where everything went right and expectations were exceeded. This time, the Commanders have returned to harsh reality with a massive crash. The team appears unmotivated, unprepared, and easy to decipher by opponents. That's a dangerous combination, and the pathetic performances and poor results speak for themselves. We don't need more evidence. From now on, it's time to evaluate every player and every member of the coaching staff. Peters and coach Dan Quinn should already have clear ideas on the best way to lead the franchise forward. Some are still fighting hard to secure their futures with the team, showing grit and determination. But for others, the future is already completely sealed and they won't be part of the plans for 2026. With that in mind, I have selected 7 players from the Commanders whose destinies are already set, for various reasons, with only 4 games left in the campaign. The Washington Commanders need to solidify themselves during the offseason. No more betting on veteran free agents looking for a last chance at the Super Bowl. It's time to start building for the future in a solid and sustainable way. And that means accumulating as many assets as possible to ensure that some long-term goals are achieved and that we have a strong foundation for the coming years. The first name on our list is Darron Payne, a defensive tackle who's under the spotlight. The veteran defensive tackle started the season impressively, showing all of his potential, but he seems to be in a concerning decline in recent weeks. Any hopes he may have had of securing an early contract extension have apparently vanished, although there's no way to be absolutely certain. What Adam Peters needs to decide is whether trading the former Alabama star is a risk worth taking at this moment. Payne would likely have a good market if the Commanders were more receptive to trade offers. He represents $28.01 million against Washington's salary cap next season, with no remaining guaranteed money, making him an attractive trade target. He is not living up to that financial commitment, and while they would have to absorb some dead cap, the $16.81 million in savings could be used elsewhere, should the right trade offer come along. Only time will tell, but granting another contract extension to a player who is not delivering as expected would be a mistake. The second name on our list is Andrew Wiley, an offensive tackle who has been a disappointment. Wiley was signed to be the starting left tackle and provide stability to our offensive line, but he has simply failed to fulfill that role. He has been one of the biggest disappointments of the season, with inconsistent performances and many mistakes that have hurt the offense. His inability to protect the quarterback and create running lanes puts him in a delicate position. He has a costly contract and is not delivering the expected value. It is likely he will be released when his contract expires in 2026, or even sooner if the team can find a better alternative. The offensive line needs a complete overhaul, and Wiley is not part of the team's future. Now, regarding the defensive end position, which is crucial for our defense. The original text mentioned a name that is on another team, which is an error. But the truth is that the defensive end position urgently needs renewal. While we do not have a Von Miller, the need for elite pass rushers is undeniable. Our current defensive ends are not producing enough, and we need more pressure on the opposing quarterback. This means that some veterans at this position may be cut or traded to make way for younger, more productive talents. Adam Peters needs to invest heavily in this position to give Dan Quinn the necessary tools to build a dominant defense. The fourth name on our list is Noah Brown, a wide receiver who has had a frustrating year. Brown signed a new contract with the Commanders during the offseason, but injuries have once again prevented him from making a significant impact. Brown's troubles began at Washington's mandatory minicamp when he had to be carted off the field with a knee injury. This hampered his preparation during the summer, but he managed to return in time for Week 1. Unfortunately, the former Ohio State star lasted only 2 games before an ankle injury sidelined him until last weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. The receiver made only one catch on 2 targets for a total of 19 yards in Washington's humiliating loss, but he came out unscathed after playing in nearly 70% of the offensive plays. That was a silver lining, for sure. Still, it does not change the fact that those responsible need to seek a different direction during the offseason. The 5th name is Quan Martin, a safety who has been a disappointment. Many fans and experts expected Quan Martin to have a breakout season for the Washington Commanders this year. The safety, known for his impactful tackles, showed significant improvement when shifted to defense by coach Dan Quinn in 2024. Unfortunately, the season for the player, drafted in the 2nd round of the 2023 draft, has been disappointing. Martin struggled to establish himself as the leader of the team. The loss of veteran Will Harris at the beginning of the season didn't help, but that doesn't justify the failure. Nothing seems to have gone right for the Illinois alum, and it would be a surprise if the Commanders didn't seek reinforcements for the safety position in the 2026 offseason. Missed tackles, coverage failures, and an apparent lack of confidence have caused his regression. If the Commanders select someone like Caleb Downs in the draft, or pursue one of the top free agents available on the market, Martin becomes a trade candidate or could be relegated to backup unless there is real progress this offseason. The 6th name is Tyler Owens, another safety that has been a question mark. Speaking of safeties, fans expected much more from Tyler Owens this season. But, as has happened throughout his career, his physical talent has never matched his on-field performance. Owens has all the intangible athletic qualities a defensive player could desire. He has the size, reach, and explosiveness that seem perfect for Dan Quinn's tactical concepts. Still, something prevents the coaching staff from involving him meaningfully in the defensive rotation. At the moment, the Commanders prefer experience, whatever that means. This has limited Owens to special teams roles, allowing him to be instinctive and utilize his explosiveness with more freedom. It has been a recipe for success, but an intense summer awaits the Texas Tech alum, who is seeking a spot on the main team or a larger role within the squad. The roster will be completely different next spring. What this means for Owens in the last year of his contract remains to be seen, and the 7th and final name on our list is Johnny Newton, a defensive lineman buried in the rotation. It's starting to seem like the Commanders may never see a significant return on the investment made in Johnny Newton. Although the defensive lineman is young enough to turn things around, it will require a lot of patience and hard work to justify his high 2nd-round projection. The Commanders thought they made an epic deal when Newton slipped through their fingers and landed in their laps at the 36th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. It was an uneven rookie year, but flashes of talent in pressuring the quarterback suggested a larger role could be on the horizon this season with a bit more refinement. That has yet to happen. The Commanders prefer Javon Kinlaw and Darron Payne as their starting defensive tackle duo. Newton's inability to impact the run game has caused him to fall behind veteran Eddie Goldman in the hierarchy. Unless there is a drastic change, he could find himself once again relegated to the bench in 2026. So the final question I leave for you to deeply reflect on and answer in the comments is, considering that 7 key players, including costly veterans and young talents who are not developing, have uncertain futures with the team, and that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn will have to do a real cleanup to rebuild the franchise, do you believe that this radical overhaul is the right way to finally pull us out of the hole? Or do you fear that so many changes at once could further destabilize the team and prolong the rebuilding process? And which of these 7 players do you think still deserve a chance to prove their worth?